Welcome back to another Sunday walk video. It is absolutely gorgeous out today. It's about like 70 degrees right now, and it's also beautiful for Bitcoin. We had a tremendous week last week, so I want to give more thoughts about what to expect this week, if anything's changed, and a couple ideas that I want to share with you guys. All right, so as for last Sunday video, I remember talking about, well, there's one thing that's concerning, and that is I don't know who this mysterious seller is, because the prior week we certainly did see like random drops out of the blue, and whoever the mysterious Coinbase seller is really tried to scare the market, cause a volatility, and they did their best, right? So this was 2 weeks ago, and I talked about that last week. And then this last week, we had a pretty good recovery. It seemed like the Coinbase seller stopped, or he didn't stop and just didn't have enough selling power, because the ETFs, they took in $1 billion worth of Bitcoin last week. Think about that. Even Grayscale had massive inflows last week. So whoever the seller was or is, they couldn't bring down the market. And we saw very little volatility last week. It basically just a slow incline upwards, and we even surpassed 67,000, right? So I was looking at the charts. We haven't seen 67,000 for a while now, since March. So that's pretty good. April, obviously, we went down. May, for most part, we were down, but we broke through some of the previous resistances from the last 2 months, and now we're at a level back in March. And of course, we know March was a terrific month, and so was February. So things are looking bright once again. So what to expect this week? Well, I noticed today Bitcoin came down a little bit. Right, so we're, as I'm filming this, went down about 1,000 points, about 66,004. So I think that's perfectly normal. I don't think that relates really to the Coinbase seller, but it could. I think it was perfectly fine because Bitcoin was scorching hot last week, and even if you look at the technicals, a lot of indicators were overbought. So for things to cool off a little bit, perfectly okay. But I think this week is going to be more of the same. I'm gonna remain bullish as always, but even more bullish this week than normal, because the ETFs, they are now picking up again. And I've been disclosing during my live streams all these big companies and hedge funds specifically that have bought Bitcoin ETFs already, and there's more that probably did buy, but they just didn't disclose yet. So I went through a list of the top 25 hedge funds in the US. Like 75% already bought. The other 25%, I really think they already bought, they just didn't disclose. That's the reason. And of course, we know it's more than just the hedge funds. Now we have state pension funds, we have public trade companies, we have banks. Yes, we have banks that have bought Bitcoin ETFs. We have other funds also that have bought Bitcoin ETFs. And there are a lot of big funds that are getting approval to add more Bitcoin ETF exposure. So, I mean, this is what I've been saying for a while now, since ETFs came out. Once we saw the inflows come in, we know the numbers don't lie. There are people buying, there are companies buying, there are funds buying. The billions that the ETF bought didn't come out of thin air. And BlackRock itself, Fidelity itself, you got to figure they bought some for themselves too. Vanguard is certainly involved. I mean, there's a close connection with Vanguard and BlackRock and everything else too, so that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I think this week, more of the same. Unless there's something weird that happens, I think this week we're going to see the ETFs inflow more. We're going to see Bitcoin higher. I think there's a really good shot there's a really good shot Bitcoin could break above 70,000 this week. And that would be absolutely fantastic. It seems like it was so long ago, like a year ago, when Bitcoin was at 73,000. No, it was only 2 months. It was only 2 months. So we had a good down period. Remember, we had 7 consecutive green months prior to the April downfall. Okay, keep that in mind. May actually end up being in green. We still have a couple weeks to go, so may end up in a green, considering since April was in the red. But prior to that month, we had 7 consecutive green months. People don't realize how significant that is, because that's never ever happened in Bitcoin's history. That was the first time. We're breaking a lot of records this time, guys. We have never broken a previous high before a halving event. That happened this time. We've never had 7 consecutive green months until this year and this cycle too. We're breaking all the great records. These are good records to break. Okay, so zero reason to be bearish at this point. Zero reason to think that this bull run, specifically the parabolic part of this bull run, isn't going to happen. It is. It definitely is. So I think this week will be good. Now, as for this mysterious Coinbase seller, I speculated that it's either FTX, because they need to repay back the creditors, or it was Mt. Gox, also repay back creditors. I don't know. Maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe they are still selling off to make cash. Don't know. What I do know is this: it doesn't really matter how much they sell. They may drive some short-term volatility. We may see Bitcoin dip down periodically because of their sells. But as long as the ETFs are inflowing, it's going more than make up for what they're selling. And that's what we saw last week. So they may have been selling, but $1 billion being bought and inflowed into the ETFs, that's just too hard to overcome. Like, who else has $1 billion to sell at this point of Bitcoin? Think about it. All right, so that's Bitcoin. I remain bullish for this week. What else? As for the alts finally, because of last week, the alts finally seem to have regained a little bit, just a little bit of momentum. Not too much, but we did see like the likes of Solana going above 170s, closing in the 200 mark that it hit in March, right? And we saw several others come up slightly, 10, 15, 20%. Now, most of these alts, we're just talking about hitting the high of 2024 back in March, but most of the alts have not broken their previous high of 2021, right? So that's why I think sometimes when we go down, the sentiment turns bearish, is because the alts, they could just, sometimes they're just really weak, right? And I get it. A lot of people are holding large amounts of alts, and it kind of sucks when everything goes down and the alts really bleed. But just like what happened in February and March, if Bitcoin this week or next starts heading higher, goes into 70s, starts pushing that all-time high again, I expect the alts to regain strength, and we could see the likes of Solana above 200. Maybe we could see Ethereum back above 3,500. Avalanche maybe going back to the mid to high 40s and crossing 50s. I think we're going to see that. And then some of the memes that have fallen, I don't know if you guys pay attention, last week was actually pretty bad for memes. A lot of memes like Whiff, for example, Pepe, Bonk, like a lot of the bigger memes, they didn't move all that much last week. Sheeb and Doge, they had their moments, but overall the memes didn't do very well. I think there's still a lot of worry that last week was a fluke and we may go down this week. Maybe. But I think the alts will come back strong, okay? When the momentum is back, and of course, the memes will be strong as well. So don't worry about the alts and memes. They will come back for sure. They will come back. Let's see what happens this week with Bitcoin. I'm thinking could be very good. Could be very good. All right, last two things I want to talk about. I don't want to make this video too long. Sometimes I go very long. So I have this idea, and I shared this before, and I've been sharing this for a while. A lot of people seem to like it, but they don't quite grasp it or don't know how to come up with the idea. I've been saying I want to come out with shows that are based on challenges, game show ideas, okay? Very Mr. Beast-like ideas, but crypto related. And I want to do something different. So I think I know what I want to do for a first one. And I've shared this idea before, but I'm going to pit two traders against each other. I'm going to lock them in a house for 30 days. And whoever makes the most gains in 30 days, well, they come out victorious and they take the pot from both sides. From the loser and, of course, from the winner side. So I think that's pretty good incentive. I'm going to try to kick that off. I know who the two traders are, right? I'm pretty sure I could get them to do it. Just have to find a house, try to find a sponsor. So I'm going to make it pretty significant. But this is the kind of idea I want. A lot of people have shared ideas like, oh, you could just look at the game shows and make it related to like crypto. No. And there are some ideas where it's like it's too encompassing, too broad, you know, like you need dedicated film crews to follow people around, you know, different locations and stuff. No. And then there are people that just want me to do more like Q&A stuff, and I'm like, no, that's not what I want. Someone shot me an email saying, yeah, I hear you want to come out with, you know, game show ideas or challenge ideas. How about you come out with a show where it's called feedback, and basically you're giving feedback to people, or people give feedback to you, or something like that. But basically it's just like Q&A. I'm like, I do that every single day. I don't need to come out with another show just for Q&A. So the daily shows that I'm doing right now will stay put, but I really want to incorporate some of the new type idea shows. So I'm gonna try to kick that off soon. I really like it. I think it's different. The timing is right. It relates to trading as well, since so many people are starting to learn how to trade. I think it'll be a good experience. And within 30 days, maybe live stream the whole thing. That'll be outrageous. All right, so just want to give you an update on that. I'm gonna try to kick that off very, very, very soon. And then lastly, I don't know. I think that's it. Overall, I think we're in a really good spot. You know, just in terms of everything. You know, for those of us in crypto, we've gone through a lot. Up and downs, left and rights, basically. But we live in the moment, and sometimes we do that too much. And if you take a second to step back, like what I'm doing right now, walking this beautiful forest, if you take a second to step back and actually enjoy what you have, then things seem a little better. So you know, during the very bearish times, sometimes you just have to close the computer, turn off your phone, and just go for a walk, and just think about what you have instead of what you don't have, right? Yeah, so I mean, how this relates is, of course, like right now during our cycle, we had a few up and downs, but I've always said, when in doubt, zoom out. So if you actually take a second and think about where we are, we're only 1 month past the halving event. Bitcoin is at 66, 67,000. a level that even at the beginning of the year sounded improbable. If I told you back in January that Bitcoin was going to be at 70,000 and it would have broken all-time high in March, within 2 months. I said that before and people laughed it off, right? But we did. And I made a prediction before earlier this year that I think Bitcoin could be at six figures, $100,000 by July. Now last month when we were heading down to 50,000, it seemed like, well, that was a stupid prediction, right? But if this week we surpass 70 and we make a next leg sometime in May or in June to 80 or 90, is it really far-fetched to think that Bitcoin could be at 100,000 by July? No, right? But again, sometimes you just got to step back and just enjoy what we have, right? We have Bitcoin in the 60s, in the mid 60s. You can't really be disappointed about that, no matter what. That is an awesome place to be at. The entire market is roaring up, and I share with you guys all the great things that Bitcoin is doing, but not only that, all the great things that Web3 projects are doing. I mean, we're just in a really good spot. So sometimes when you live too much in the moment and you're digging and watching the charts every single minute, every single day, you get trapped, I feel like, right? You gotta, and that's the worst thing about crypto because it's 24/7. So when you get in that mindset and you trap yourself, you're like, it never stops because you can watch the charts 24/7. Unlike at least markets will give you a closing time to take a break. But you know, so anyways, that's it. If you're one of those people and you're like really trapped in a moment and you can't see the bigger picture, you know, my suggestion is take a break, get out of the house, go for a walk, go spend some time with friends, reconnect with them. Maybe you haven't seen them in a while. Hey, maybe go hang out with your kids, go for a bike ride, throw a football around, go watch a movie, you know, hang out with your significant other, go on a date night or something. You know, there's a lot of things you can enjoy. Get out there. Don't always be trapped in staring at the charts all day, I guess. I don't know. I just feel like there are a lot of people that are like that. So hopefully you guys take a little bit to enjoy life. But always remember to watch my videos. That's rule number one. You can do whatever you want, but you can never miss any of my videos. Otherwise, you're gonna miss out. All right, guys, smash it a like, subscribe to the channel. I'm gonna finish my walk here. I'm gonna go grab some dinner, and we'll see how the market reacts tomorrow upon market bell. I think this week is gonna be good. All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.